Rocket Science is a 2007 film directed and written by Jeffrey Blitz, and we have a cast including Reece Thompson, Anna Kendrick, and various others. And in general, I didn't love this. I guess I didn't mind it as a one-time watch, but I didn't think the narrative was that interesting. The concept, yes, and the characters, certainly, but the execution was just a little bit dull. Maybe I'm willing to admit that if I were closer in age to the protagonists, it might have been a different experience, but not necessarily, because there are plenty of coming-of-age films where I may not be the same age as the cast or the characters, but I still find them to be really entertaining. So take that, I guess, with a pinch of salt. This is about a boy called Hal who has a stutter, and honestly, I thought it was going to be a little bit more about that, but I feel like in some ways that wasn't the focus. It was at times, and it's all about this debate team and how that could help and what his role in that could be like, and yeah, that's interesting enough, but I feel like there were too many other things. And it does make it feel realistic because obviously that's not his whole life. There are other aspects to being a high schooler. But for me, I think the focus could have been a little bit better. If they'd shifted the focus a little bit, I think it could have been a bit more interesting. So for me, it wasn't as moving as I think it could have been. But maybe it's more realistic with how balanced it is. So maybe that's personal preference. Maybe it's a valid complaint. I'd say watch the film and find out for yourself if you're curious. But for me, the narrative, focusing on Hal and his experience, his coming-of-age journey, and various obstacles that he has to overcome, relationships with other characters, it's all very realistic. It just maybe wasn't the story I was expecting. It maybe wasn't as powerful as I thought it was going to be. So I didn't really find it to be that interesting an experience. But as I said, it feels realistic, so that in itself is definitely a praise. So I guess it depends on the kind of film you're looking for, the kind of experience you want to have. But that being said, the performances are very good. The emotions that we do get with the characters are very believable. I didn't love the annoying voiceover narration that happens occasionally. I found that to be really irritating, but that's not exclusive to this film. In general, I hate voiceover narration in films. There are some exceptions, and sometimes it can add value, but I often just find it to be very lazy and not very helpful, and it doesn't really add much value, and I don't really think it worked here very well. But the rest of the narrative, I guess, flows well. The pacing is fine. We have a lot of characters. Everything's very believable. It just wasn't as moving or impactful as I thought it was going to be. So, in general, Rocket Science is an okay film. The characters are well written. The performances are very good. The story is not as strong or as moving as I wanted it to be, or indeed as I expected it to be. And maybe that's my own fault. Maybe if I'd read a little bit more about it, I try not to avoid spoilers before I watch a film, but maybe if I had, I might have managed my expectations better. But that's all worth bearing in mind depending on what kind of film you're in the mood for. But that being said, it's an okay film. It's a decent coming-of-age drama. The characters are believable. The narrative makes sense. It wasn't as emotional as I expected. It's supposed to be a comedy and a drama, and the comedy for me isn't there, but maybe for the target audience, i.e. protagonist's age, maybe it would be. But the drama wasn't as dramatic as I expected either, so it's not very funny, it's not very dramatic, but it's fine. It's okay. As a one-time watch, it's not too bad. If you're curious, I'd say check it out. It could be a good experience. It didn't meet my expectations, but I didn't come away from it feeling like it was a terrible film. So, all things considered, Rocket Science is an okay film. It could have been a lot better, but it's not terrible, and if it sounds like it might appeal to you, then I guess I'm happy to recommend it.